How is everybody doing? We're just going to give a little bit of time here to get everybody logged in. Got a few minutes before 8 o'clock yet. What's happening, Todd? Catching any more pike? Can everybody hear okay? I'm switching platforms here. I'm going to a completely new system. This is my first go around, so you guys got to bear with me and let me know how everything sounds, how it all looks. Haven't used this before, so this is all new. Yeah, Todd, I went down to Montello and checked the ice down there, checked the ice on Green Lake and a whole bunch of different backwaters and small lakes, and definitely the last 2 days, not so much today, but Sunday and Monday really chewed apart the ice. But that'll change starting tonight and tomorrow and Thursday. Holy buckets, it's going to get cold. Awesome. Hey, Pat. The military jets have been flying like crazy here the last few days, and a couple times throughout the day today they broke the sound barrier and shook the house and freaked the dogs out. It's pretty crazy when that happens. Looking forward to it, Kyle. Let's keep praying for some cold weather, man. We need some ice. We had such a great start here, and now it's got a little warm, but I think we got some cold weather coming the end of this week, and then hopefully it sticks around. Just going back and looking at the forecast here. Looks like Sunday, Monday again. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday back up into the upper 30s, low 40s, dropping down to the 20s at night. And then, yeah, I mean, nothing super cold through the end of the month. The next couple days are going to be what we need to really get us some safe ice so we can start getting machines out. That's really the biggest thing for me, is to be able to get the big shacks out and get all the little cancer spots healed up, and heal and make or make some more ice compared to what we've had here the last couple days. But well, so a minute after 8, we can kind of get started. We'll start doing these again every week. I apologize for the lack of being on here the last few months. Just kind of give you guys a recap. We had a crazy late summer. We took a family vacation back in August, went to New York City with the kids, had a lot of fun. And yeah, Todd says they were already driving on Puckaway. Didn't work out too well for them. And then came back and had surgery. I had triple hernia surgery and had a bunch of complications with that. Really set me back, and wasn't, what they told me was supposed to be like a 4 or 5 day deal turned into like 6 weeks. And then right after I started to kind of get back and feeling good and ready to get back in the boat, ended up having kidney stones and had to have surgery on that. Then we had some crazy stuff happen in the family, and just kept pushing me back and just never made it out a whole lot this fall. I did, obviously, you guys seen, we were out on some of the lakes around here, and chasing bluegills and some panfish and stuff earlier in the fall, and then just kind of got in deer hunting mode and spent some time in the woods, and really couldn't get away from home with what was going on here. We had a lot of crap happening, and was pretty much stuck to home, and couldn't really travel. And then sales stuff started for all the distributor shows, and then we got into gun season, Thanksgiving. And now we're at ice show season. Last weekend was the big St. Paul show. Sounds like a lot of people showed up. Sounds like there were some absolutely incredible deals. A lot of these dealers and retailers are sitting on inventory going back from 3 years ago, just because we haven't had a good ice season these last couple of years. So there's still a lot of inventory out in the market. If you guys are looking for anything new, this is the year to buy. They are, literally giving stuff away. Just some of the deals and sales I heard that happened this last weekend in St. Paul was crazy. I was up at Kurt's Island Sports in Minocqua. We had a great event up there. Seen some guys that haven't seen quite some time, and met a whole bunch of new faces as well. So it was good to kind of change pace a little bit. I missed everybody at St. Paul, but on the same token, it was a lot more laid back, and we cooked a bunch of pork and beans and had a big feast. We had the 850 XD set up outside with some tables and some Nescos. So everybody that came in got some pulled pork and some beans, potato salad, and it was great. We talked ice fishing and sold some stuff, and now we just need some cold to come back. And the one thing that they got plagued on up there was they had a bunch of snow. I was very surprised. I drove up Thursday night, late Thursday night, and the further north of Wausau I got, kept getting in the snow. And once I got up to Minocqua, there was probably a good 6 inches or so, I think, when I got there. And then actually was surprised that the guys over by Land O'Lakes and up even further northeast had as much as like 16, 18 inches in some spots. So a lot of snow early. They got they get that lake effect stuff, and hopefully they can get some really cold weather and start locking some of that water up in Superior, and hopefully that would help preserve some of the lakes. And but then again, they need the snow for the snowmobiler, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. But let's get some cold first and get some of these lakes locked up, and then it can snow all at once, and everybody will be happy. This weekend we've got the Oshkosh show at the EAA grounds. Last year's show was kind of a craziness debacle with how many people showed up, kind of the perfect storm. I'm forecasting to see a pretty good amount of people again this weekend. We're going to have some really, really cold weather coming up here this week. So I'm sure there'll be some guys that are going to want to go out and ice fish this weekend. If you're going to go out in the morning and come in the afternoon, or come over in the morning and get some gear and then head out with your new gear in the afternoon. Either way, I know there's going to be a lot of great deals. There's going to be, I think, twice as many vendors as there was last year. They got, I want to say it was like 170, or I don't know. I seen something crazy, but a lot of new people. It's going to be pretty big. We'll be there. We've got the Eskimo booth, and Critters will have a good selection. As far as retailers that are going to be there, I know Thorn Brothers is coming over again, Up North Sports, and Critters, and I believe Bill from Rip and Lips is going to have a booth there as well. And then there's going to be obviously all the small, small tackle shops or tackle companies, and all the gizmos and gadgets. I know Rick and Terry from Bite Me will be there, and a few other guys too. So definitely come out, check it out of a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll post the hours, but I'm sure if you guys are online on Facebook, you're seeing all the advertising and whatnot. And should be good. Parking will be a lot better. It's a lot smoother to get in and out of there than it is at the Sunnyview Expo Center. That's for certain. Should be a lot better, a lot smoother. Let's see. As far as kind of ice conditions, it's no secret. Guys are getting out pretty much everywhere from southern Wisconsin all the way up north, Minnesota, Dakotas. We got really blessed with some early ice, and I did drive around yesterday, and I was kind of waiting towards the tail end of this warm weather we had over the weekend just to see what it was like, and it got pretty sketchy at the end of the day yesterday. There was maybe 2 inches of slush and maybe 2 inches of ice that had a lot of air bubbles in it, and as you're walking around, you can definitely tell from the morning to the afternoon how much more water was coming up over the top of the ice on the holes. So that pretty much restricted me as far as waiting until after this cold snap to try and head back out again. Not saying that you can't get out there, but it really got sketchy, and definitely bring the spud bar and kind of check the same areas where you just were. Make sure you're checking them all the way out again, because that warm weather, bright sunny days, no snow on the ice yet, and kind of chewed up the ice a little bit. So there is ice out there. There are some smaller pockets of really thin ice, and kind of the same places, but this wind here and this cold weather coming in should really drive some ice thickness, and hopefully by Thursday, Friday, we're back to that 6-7 inches again, and should be some pretty good hard ice. And hopefully then we can, have a good rest of the season, and keep making a little bit of ice before we get a bunch of snow, and should be good. Some of the small lakes around here, Watoma area, I found a lot of, just that 2 to 4 inches. There was nothing, out on the bigger, deeper lakes, nothing on the main lakes where are really frozen. If you're familiar with the Watoma area, you got like Big Silver, and then right across the street, and the Irigami, is completely froze over, and then you look across the street and Big Silver is wide open. So a lot of the deep lakes yet are still cooling down. And we'll start to see some of those things freeze up here, lock up probably this week. As long as it stays calm and we get this cold weather, I think you'll see a lot of the deeper lakes at least get a skim layer. But then who knows how long it's going to last, because they're saying 40s again by the weekend, and then back down into the 20s at night and 30s during the day. So not crazy ice making weather around here, but at least we've got a pretty good base and we've got a good start. and looking forward to getting the houses out onto Poygan and start chasing some walleyes. The fishing is incredible for the guys that are getting out. Fishing's absolutely incredible. I checked, like I say, a couple spots and went and hit some of my early bluegill spots, and is just not enough to take people out in. I didn't feel safe with other people, but I did go out and venture out and did catch some nice bluegills and found some spots, and a lot of fish stacked up in some of these spots. So as soon as we get some good ice, it's going to be a lot of fun once we get out there. If anybody didn't see, we had that cold spell last week, and I wanted to demonstrate to the Fox weather people. They got really excited when we were talking about falling through the ice. They wanted some ice safety tips and just kind of some general things to look for, when you're venturing out on the ice. There's been a lot of people going through already this year, just, stupid mistakes. And really got to watch this time of the year, especially when you have, a couple of these warm-up days, and really makes things uncertain. Where guys were fishing a couple days ago, the ice just isn't the same as what it was. So stuff is always changing. You always got to be on the lookout and stay on your toes. But we had the pond. It's kind of a good video because you can actually see how good ice is when it's really cold out. We've got an aerator, pond's about 16 feet deep. I've got the aerator, and I shut the aerator off so I'd have, about an inch, or I figured I'd have an inch or maybe less to walk out on, just so I knew I could fall through. So we had the guys, Ray was over here, my buddy Ray was over here filming, and it was cold that morning. I think it was only like 10 degrees. Wind was blowing pretty hard, so wasn't looking forward to falling in and getting wet. But we took the spud bar, went out, and as I'm spudding out, I could see it was getting thinner. Obviously, you could see the dark black ice where the aerator was, and half a chop really I was going through. One punch and the whole chisel was going through. So I knew I didn't have enough ice, but it was black, clear, hard ice. It got really cold. It was calm, and everything froze good. So tell the news people, like, all right, guys, get ready. And I stand out on that 1 inch of ice, and it doesn't even crack. So I'm bouncing up and down trying to get it to break, and it just wouldn't go. So I kind of gave up a little bit, and then came and did a little bit more talking, and then I'm like, all right, I got to do one more. We got to fall in. We got to show this suit how it works. And I had an Eskimo Superior suit on, and normally I never wear a jacket, but for demonstration purposes, we wanted to make sure we showed everything, the jacket and the bibs, and we'll get to that later. But so I take the spud bar out, punch a couple more holes, and I'm jumping, and I cannot break 1 inch of ice. I weigh about 180 pounds, and I did everything I could to try and break through 1 inch. And finally, with the holes, I had water start to come up, and I could feel it start to sink. And I knew it was all right. We're gonna go swimming here, and fell in. And when you fall in, when we talk about ice safety, one of the biggest mistakes you can make, and my buddy Ray, kind of hit the nail on the head with this too, is so many people, whether you have a float suit on or not, the float suits work so well that you don't get a chance to feel if there's a bottom underneath you. So when you fall in, instantly, I'm watching the video, I didn't even get up really to my jacket because the amount of flotation that's in the bibs, keeps you up like a bobber. And normally if you were going to fall in, through some ice as you're walking, you're going to have a pretty big hole. But being that ice was so hard, the only spot that broke was just a tiny little hole where I was jumping. Everything else kind of stayed around. Typically, if you're going to go in, you're going to have, you're going to be walking, you're going to run into a bad area, it's going to be soft, and you're going to go down, and there's going to be a pretty big hole around you when you go down. This wasn't the case. I just had, pretty much a hole the size of both feet, and as soon as I went down, my legs instantly got sucked up to the bottom of the ice. And it almost kind of pins you And if you don't stop and just think about what's going on and just relax, calm down, and I was trying to talk my way through it, but it is cold. I'm not gonna lie, especially only being 10 degrees outside. Hitting that 38 degree water. Instantly your boots fill up. But believe it or not, you really don't get really wet, on your midsection or down on your waist, because the apparel sucks so tight to you, and it is waterproof. So the only water penetration that you typically have is up through where your boots are. That's why it's kind of important to put those gaiters on, because it definitely restricts the flow of water being able to get up underneath your bibs and into your boots, or just into your boots in general. So just a little thing, make sure you guys are putting your gaiters on. What the gaiter is that flap that wraps around your boot. Most ice suits have them, and they've either got Velcro or a snap. Wrap those around and make sure you got them tight, because if you do go in, that water is going to compress that fabric against your leg and restrict a lot of the water that'll get up into your bibs and into your boots, and cause more issues than what you really want to deal with at the time. So you go in, and make sure you guys are always wearing your ice picks, or even carry a couple of screwdrivers, or even one screwdriver in your pocket, just something, because when it's that slippery and you don't have anything to grab onto, it's very hard to get out of those holes. You got to kick your feet and just dig in those ice picks and pull yourself out. You can hear it in my voice, even how it was a little cold, and it takes your breath away. That's just the biggest thing, is just relax, and don't ever go down. And if you feel yourself go down, the biggest thing you can do is hold your breath for a minute, because you're going to go down. If you don't have a float suit on, you're probably going to go head under and come back up. And obviously, most guys that I know anyway, when you hit that cold water, and the boys hit that cold water, it's like, and if you're doing that, you're sucking in cold water as you go down, you're going to be in big trouble. So you typically have that second or two to realize that something's bad. Just plug your breath, or hold your breath, plug your nose, whatever you need to do to keep from water coming in, and then you'll bob back up. Your body's warm. There's air in the fat. You're not going to go down and sink like a rock. You're going to bob up, and and try to, as if you are going down, put your arms out for displacement, and see if you can't catch yourself on the ice, so you don't go all the way down. But it was a funny event. We were talking to the producers and stuff online, and you can even watch the lady. She got pretty scared, and they were all screaming in the background, and it was funny. But all for good fun, and all to teach people a lesson on kind of what to do and what to happen. Hopefully you never have to experience it, but it's always a good thing if you can ever get a chance to just jump in a swimming pool, or jump someplace that you can safely do it where it's warm, to realize what happens when you have a float suit on. You'll be quite surprised on how much buoyancy there is, that it really doesn't allow you to go under, especially if you have a jacket on as well. Most of the time, just the bibs alone will keep you afloat, but if you've got a jacket on as well, you're going to float like a bobber, and you're going to have that that chance to save yourself, get up, and just always go back to hey Travis, yeah, Ryan, ice picks are so important, such a great tool for self-rescue. Our ice rescue gear even has ice picks. It is so hard, until you do it, you would never even think about how hard it is to get yourself out of that cold water without ice picks. Number one, especially if it's super cold out, your hands are, once they hit that cold water, and if it's really cold in the air, your hands are going to cramp up pretty much instantly. And you're not going to have that strength to be able to try and claw and grab onto the ice. Now, your adrenaline does kick in, and you're going to, probably most guys, that's what happens, is they start to panic and they freak out. And that's when you start sucking in water and just kind of going into shock, and you really just have to calm yourself down and just relax. And if you relax, get your mind in the right state of mind, and you'll get yourself out, and then just make sure you get someplace warm. For me, it really wasn't too bad. My boots obviously got filled up with water, and maybe up to my knees, but the rest of my body and everything was pretty well dry. So I didn't even really have to go sit in a hot tub or anything. So yeah, just if you guys don't have a float suit, spend the money, please. So many people that have gone in the last 10 years that didn't have float suits on really could have had that chance, that saving chance to be able to get out. I look at some of the people that have gone in that had float suits on. It saved their lives. I've got a half a dozen guys, friends that I could say are still here today because they have float suits, and they wore them, they had their ice picks, and they were able to stay afloat and get out safely. So just never be too safe. The other thing too is, when you're going out this time of the year, even the guys heading out to Poygan, it's always a good idea to, not so much just for yourself, but John, we had right next to us, we had a flotation with a rope to throw, and Ray was right there. I knew, just knowing how many times I've gone in with the suits, I knew I wasn't going to make it all the way down. That being said, I would have put a rope on me, but I knew enough. And again, I've done enough demonstrations, and if you want to try, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess we're trained professionals, I guess, if you want to say it that. If it's your first time you're going to do that, yeah, you probably don't want to try it, because you can panic and freak out, and then you get into trouble really quick. But I've done it enough, and was prepared, and we had safety measures in place just in case. But it was good. Everything turned out. Yeah, Pat, instead of buying that $500 shack, buy the float suit first. I have to agree with that. And here's the thing, guys. We talk about this a lot in my seminars, and a lot of people now is 10 years ago, everybody had a one-man flip-over shack if you were going out fishing, or you had your portables. But now, with how good the clothing has gotten, we're seeing a lot less people fish inside of shacks and just fishing outside in the elements on your ATVs or snowmobiles or whatnot, because we're wearing our ice shanties. These suits are so warm, the waterproofness, the breathability, plus the fact that they have that flotation assist in them. It is like wearing a portable ice shanty. You really don't need to be inside anymore. And a lot of the diehard guys and a lot of the hardcore fishermen, that's the way they fish. We've really changed kind of how we go out as anglers on the bodies of water compared to what we did that 10, 15 years ago. You didn't think about going out without a shack. You had all your gear, but now everything's gotten so much more condensed, and we got our locators and stuff built right on our snowmobiles and our ATVs. So a lot of this stuff is permanently mounted, and you might have a flasher, or if you're bringing your live scopes or whatever around, that's just extra stuff. But most of the guys I fish with, we're outside. I very seldom ever go inside and fish. Just because number one, I don't want to get too warm, because once I get too warm and you get sweaty, that's when you get cold. And most of all my clients, everybody knows it can be 20 below, blowing 30 miles an hour out there, and I'm going to pretty much stay outside and just fish hard. Stay out of the elements, put your your back to the wind, and good mittens. That's another big thing, mittens and some hand warmers, and Mother Nature can pretty much throw whatever she wants at me, and I know I'm going to stay warm. Yeah, the windy days, that's the hardest, man. It's just that wind can be brutal. And it seems like it keeps getting windier and windier every year. So going back to kind of some of the ice reports, I think probably we've got the show this weekend, so I won't be out over the weekend. Look for updates on Monday and Tuesday night. We'll do another live, and we'll kind of give you a synopsis on the show, and we'll talk about what I found on Monday for ice conditions. And hopefully you guys will have some fishing reports for us. I'm always looking for just even if you're given good ice reports or what you're seeing this time of the year especially. It's always good to get the community together to help us out, and everybody's chomping at the bit to get out there. We all know that, and don't be afraid to share some ice safety, guys. Nobody's looking for your fishing spots, but hey, if you want to share those too, I've got a private message. Yeah, Travis, dressing in layers is really, really important. With my kids, I teach my kids and my wife the importance of layering. And I think probably one of the biggest things that I see that people do, and everybody complains about getting cold feet. And I couldn't believe, my 16-year-old came out deer hunting with me one day, and after all these years, he just either didn't pay attention or he forgot or whatnot. But he wore 2 pairs of socks, a pair of cotton socks and then a pair of wool socks over the top. Number one rule of thumb for cold weather is absolutely 100% no cotton. Cotton absorbs moisture. And when you have moisture against your body, you are going to get cold. Everything should be some sort of performance wear, polyester, something that has a wicking capability to pull the moisture out. So when we talk about layering, what we're talking about is wearing a base layer, which should be some whether it be Under Armour or Eskimos got their base layer stuff. Strikers got everybody's got base layer, and it's a polypropylene fabric that basically wicks the moisture. It takes the moisture off your body, pulls it through the fabric, and pushes it out. That's where the next step is going to have some sort of a base or a mid layer, or if you want to wear a performance style hoodie, and then a windbreak or something like that over the top. My favorite is I've got my base layer, and then I run the bib jacks from Eskimo. It's the insulated, water resistant, windproof outer layer, kind of like a wading jacket. And for the most part, that's it. I mean, that's enough for me till it probably gets to be about 10 degrees or less. And then I might throw on, just an outer shell. But as long as you got that wind off of you and you've got that moisture escaping off your body, it's pretty hard to get cold if you're moving around. Now, if you're just sitting, obviously then I'm just going to throw a jacket on and sit on the side of the snowmobile and stay comfortable. But I'm pretty cold-blooded, and or I shouldn't say that, warm-blooded. I like the cool. And just layering is so important to keep that moisture off your body. Same thing with with socks. Just good alpaca socks or some merino wool, and then some good boots that that breathe. You don't want to suffocate your feet, because when you suffocate your feet, you're going to get moisture from sweat, and that's when you're going to get the cold toes. So yeah, the alpaca socks are definitely my favorite. They're very good at wicking the moisture. They're very warm. Great socks. If you've never owned a pair, invest the money on a good pair of socks, because you will thank yourself many times over, especially when it gets super cold. Wool pajama pants is all I wear under my bibs for hunting, fishing. Never get much cold. Never wear blue jeans. Yeah, blue jeans again too. For my pants, I always have Eskimo makes the North Shore pants. Those are pretty much my favorite. I think I've got a pair for every day of the week once we get into ice fishing. Base layer, a pair of those, and then my Superior bibs. And a lot of the times I'm too hot. Sometimes you got to open up the side vents and our side zippers to let some air in. But again, just you want to keep the wind off, you want to keep the moisture off, and it's just important to learn how to layer. And don't overdo it. Too many people put all these different layers on. They'll put a base layer, then a wool sweater, and then a hoodie, and then a jacket. Well, you're defeating the purpose at that point because you're trapping all the moisture in. You want to make sure that your body can breathe. As your body sweats, that moisture has to get through all those layers of fabric, and that's why Gore-Tex and some of these rain suits that we use in the summer, that's really where you see it the most. You can be out 90 degrees and having some rain or whatnot, and if you don't have anything that breathes, well, you might as well just take the rain jacket off, because you're trapping all that moisture in, you're sweating, and you're just as wet when you take it off as you would have been had it rained. So whereas Gore-Tex is a breathable fabric, the rain does not penetrate, but the vapor escapes and you're bone dry and you feel dry all day long. So that's the importance, I guess, of layering. So we'll kind of get off that topic and get back to the show and some fishing. Talking to some guys that have been out on Poygan, and the white bass are pretty prevalent this year. I think we're going to have a really good white bass year, as well as the walleyes. And I think there's going to be a pretty good population of some crappies out on Poygan again this year. But for sure, the white bass, we've seen so many of them this fall in the boat while we were up in the river. And, and then we got all that rain with a lot of current. I think a lot of fish got sucked up through the system, and Poygan just kind of loaded up with fish, and really excited to get out there and start chasing these things. I think we're going to have a great year. The size is bigger all the way around on the white bass and the walleyes. We've got, I'd say, your average fish is going to be in those upper teens. You're probably going to see a lot of low 20s this winter, and a lot of good stocky fish. So that being said, just be careful. A lot of these fish are all spawning females, and we don't want to start hurting the system. When you get a good year like this, last thing you want to do is wreck it for the future. Just make sure you're practicing good conservative methods as far as keeping fish, and don't over harvest all those big females. Any questions from you guys? Anything you want to see coming up? And we'll start getting some guests and stuff lined up, and looking forward to kind of getting back into the groove of things and getting back and chatting with y'all. Let's see, how's the clarity on Poygan? Jeff, the clarity is actually pretty good. Some of the stuff over on the west end was kind of dirty. But that's just because of all the, the current and stuff still kind of ripping through there. Still quite a bit of current in the river. Water's high, and it'll slow down here a little bit, obviously as we get into the season. But for the most part, clarity on Poygan was pretty good. The fish can see the baits. That's the most important thing. Let's see. I don't really have much else. Just kind of wanted to try and get back and say hi to everybody, and just get a good start on the winter. But if nobody's got any questions, or if you don't have anything else you want to talk about here, Travis, yes, I'll be doing every Tuesday at 8. Well, let me ask you guys. You guys are the people that have to be on here. Tuesdays and Thursdays are kind of a scramble for me because my kids have taekwondo and basketball practice. Would a Wednesday night be better for everybody? Or what night do you guys like? I don't want to do it too late in the week. Thursdays and Fridays, we're usually running pretty hard as we get into the weekends, guiding. So Um, hey Pat, yeah. So for me, I do. Even when we're bluegill fishing, there's some spots, there's some lakes, especially that even if they say a limit's 25, I won't let people keep. You know, I'm very protective on lakes that I know need the help. You can hate me or whatnot. So be it. I don't care. Some people get upset. Some people understand, and we really got to be, stewards and practice, good conservative measures on making sure we're not over harvesting our fish. When it comes time to keeping walleyes and stuff, yeah, I don't like keeping the big females. I typically, 18, 19 inches is kind of my threshold. Maybe if it's a bad day or something like that, and we got, a 20 incher, we might keep a 20 incher, but typically everything 18, 19 inches and under gets caught or gets kept, and then everything above that gets put back. Now, if it's a male, obviously you can tell that. I got no problem with that. But most of these fish this time of the year are going to be females, those 20 to 22, 24-inch females. I think there's going to be quite a few of those getting caught this winter, and I will put every one of those back, barring that they can, safely go back. Obviously I had one this fall that, we had foul hooks or hooked real bad down in the gill, and I just knew that if we were to put it back, it wasn't going to swim. And people just, the amount of shaming that goes on by people on Facebook, just, I don't even get wrapped up in it anymore. It's just pretty sad that guys got to do that, especially if you're not there. Most people that know me know I'm not going to go out there and kill, a bunch of 24-inch fish on the Wolf River. Just common sense. But people always got a gripe, and they always got to try and start things and, start a fire, and I don't understand why. Just say good job, and or don't even say anything at all. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Remember, that's what Bambi said. So Wednesdays are good, and glad this day is better for you. Yes. I think maybe we might switch to Wednesdays. It would definitely ease things up. That way when I'm coming back from Omro on Tuesday nights, I'm not having to, hustle back real quick and scramble to get the kids ready for bed and then jump on the computer to do the live chat. So maybe what we'll do is we'll switch to Wednesday nights, see how that goes, and we'll move on from there. But I think Wednesday probably work. It's a good midday hump day. I can, that way there too, I can typically give you, 2 days of reports from being out, during the week, and fill in on the weekend, and then kind of give you guys an update on what's happening for the upcoming weekend. So Wednesday's work, we'll try that and see what you guys say. Yep, I think so as well, Pat. I think middle of the week is good, and then everybody will kind of be settled in for the week too. And I know Mondays and Tuesdays for a lot of people are kind of still pretty hectic coming off the weekend, but yeah. So size 20 hooks, you bet, man. Number 20s. We were talking about that up at Kurt's this past weekend, telling guys, and they all laughed at me, and then I started showing them pictures of all the big fish that we got on number 20 trebles, and they're going to try them. I think they're going to be very surprised on how well they work. People that know, and if you haven't tried it yet, definitely take a look. The other thing people were surprised about too, as we were talking, was the fact that we use hot dogs for pike. Everybody thought we were crazy. So all things we can talk about throughout the season, and definitely looking forward to finally, hopefully we have a good normal winter, and everybody can have a good week. What do you make of the recent changes in the ice industry with big names changing companies? it's always said best, as the tackle turns, right? This industry is very small. There's always going to be change. That's the one thing you can always look forward to, is there's always going to be change. And all I can do, 5 years ago, I'd probably be more wrapped up into all the drama and stuff, and I just don't have time for it anymore. I really don't care. If people don't want to take care of you, or if people have differences or whatnot, it's always best for people to kind of go their own way. It just doesn't. This world's too small and life's too short to get upset about all the stupid little things, and to base your careers and stuff on petty isn't worth it to me. I've kind of got the big scope in mind now, and it really is kind of changed my whole philosophy on the game. You got to do what works for you. At the end of the day, you're the one who has to make the decision and kind of live with yourself, and just do you. That's the easiest way to do it, man. A lot of changes in this industry right now, and I don't think it's over. I think there's going to be a lot more, coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of, just uncertainty. I was talking to a buddy again tonight too about, just the boat market, where the boat market's at compared to where it was a couple years ago. Normally, on most years, a lot of us guys were getting new boats every year, and it's just not feasible to do that. And if these companies can't understand that, the average guy is not going to spend 9-10% on a $100,000 boat. It's crazy money to spend on interest just to keep into a fresh new boat. And these companies got to start looking at where we're at too, and not forcing stuff down our throats on on what to get, what to buy, and you got to have this, you got to have that. And it's like, guys, business is slow for everybody, and we can't be the ones picking up the pieces. We got to try and make money as well. And if all we're doing is spending it on product and new gear, then it kind of defeats the purpose of doing this. We got to pay the bills, and we got to make sure that we've got cash flow. So that's my 2 cents, man. A lot of big names, and I've been doing this 25 years, and I watch people come and go all the time, and it's the most inevitable is the fact that everything is all about change. For panfish, what length rods do you prefer for hole? Oh, Travis, I love long rods. So my stillfish rods, which are my favorite, especially for hole hopping, I'm running 4 to 5 foot rods, and those are the line through blanks with the spring bobbers on the end. And I usually go out 3 or 4 of them if I'm just by myself. Just because I hate having to feed the the wire through. I'll typically, if I break off on all 4 rods, then I typically go home. But usually, I might break off once, and hopefully get lucky that it's just the jig that breaks off and doesn't break the line, inside the blank. But I like the stillfish rods. Number of reasons why is, especially this time of the year, where I was fishing here yesterday. You got to stay away from the holes. That's the biggest thing. You're only in 3 to 4 feet of water. The water is gin clear. The ice is fairly clear. So the more noise you make, and the more motion you're doing up above the ice, it's just a magnifying glass underneath. So those fish are seeing everything you're doing. So that's why it's important to get on top of a hole, and if you're in a good area, spend some time there. Don't keep moving around, because what's going to happen is you're going to walk up to that hole, you're going to push those fish away, and then they'll eventually come back. And where I was yesterday, I watched that. I watched all these guys, hole hopping and moving around, and I just sit in the spot, and you can see down through the hole and watch these fish. And Even some of the really big ones, they won't even get close to that hole because of the light difference or the light change. So you really have to coax them. And when I see stuff like that, that's typically when I will drop a jig 2 inches underneath the ice and just jig, within 2 to 6 inches from the bottom of the ice, and that's typically those big ones will come up and grab those baits right underneath the ice. For whatever reason, it works. I think they see the reflection off the bottom of the ice or off the edge of the hole, and they're attracted to it. But if you drop your bait all the way down, now they can actually see so much more. But if that jig is only a few inches underneath the ice and they're swimming underneath the ice, they're not able to see through the hole like you would think. But that's just from my visual experience, kind of watching these fish, how they swim around, and just paying attention to all those little small details. And fishing right underneath the ice this time of the year can be deadly. Spinning reel or inline reels. Most of my panfish stuff are all inlines. I run, a 2-pound, either a gold label or an Ice-X line, the Seagar. And I just got some of the Grand Max 2-pound leader. I'm curious to see how that stuff does in the ice. There's a little bit of diameter. Yeah, absolutely. So Travis asked, do you play your shadow with that to don't shadow the hole? So it's obviously, if it's really windy, you have to play the wind. So the wind, so you can watch your line and whatnot. But you want to do the opposite. You don't want to stand behind the hole. If the sun's at your back, you want to be facing the sun. You don't want to create a shadow over the top of your hole. You want that thing to be as bright as possibly can be. When there's no snow on the ice and you've got 3-4 inches of clear ice, the last thing you want to do is create a shadow over the top of that hole. It looks crazy for those fish, and you'd be surprised on how much motion and what that looks like. Even your buckets. I don't carry buckets around in my holes. It's just me. I don't use a flasher. I have a 5-foot rod, and I try and stand away from the hole as far as I possibly can, and just keep my rod tip even off to the side, down near the bottom of the hole, so nothing up above those fish can see. And I watched them yesterday. If I were to move my rod over the top of the hole to try and get, the wind blew it up against the edge or something like that, and I was moving my rod tip, just that little bit of movement just freaked all the fish out, and they were gone. So you'd be surprised on how much those fish do see. Do glow jigs have a place in your ice fishing lure jig? Yes and no. I used to be a really big glow jig guy. I typically, if I'm walleye fishing, yes, more so probably walleye fishing in dirty water, especially when we go up to Lake of the Woods. That's a necessity. Even like the dirty bombs, the Fish Daddy stuff that actually has the LED lighted jigs. Those things are deadly in dirty water. But as far as bluegill fishing, crappie fishing, yes, I use them. But is it something that I religiously believe in and switch to? Not really. I think crappies are more adapt to feed on glow baits. Once the bluegills are done, I do use like a red glow or a pink glow. That last light going into the evening to try and get that last extra 10 minutes or whatnot bluegill fishing. But I don't know if it really makes that much of a difference. I've spent enough time now the last couple of years, trying to figure out, am I catching more with glow or without glow? And it's equal. I can't say it's been a game changer. But for crappies and walleyes, definitely, especially when you fish at night, a bright glow, demon spoon, or something with a big wide profile bait, with a minnow, dropping that thing down, over a basin on a slip bobber is deadly for crappies. They can't resist it. And same thing with walleyes. The walleyes love that glow, and it gives you that nighttime capability, and especially again in that dirty water, because they're visual feeders. They're going to come up, and anything they can do to be able to see the bait is definitely going to help. Let's see, any other questions? How many rods do you run at any given time? Good question. So if I'm walleye fishing, I've typically got 3 rods laying side by side by side. If I am bluegill fishing, depending on the scenario, if I'm shallow water fishing and I've got my stillfish rods, I've usually got 2 or 3 of those with me, and they're again tied up. I'll have 2 of the same bait and then 1 with a completely off the wall deal. That way there, if I'm fishing, and I can typically sight fish when I'm shallow water fishing like that, and watch these fish, how they react. If they just decide that, all right, I've seen enough of that bait, they just don't want to eat it, quick drop something bigger in, and that usually is just enough to trigger those bigger fish to bite. That's on my stillfish rods. If I've got my my smaller, like I'm still using the Elliott stuff, the Evolutions and the 42, 44 inch long, stuff that I can kind of stand over the hole and actually see down into the hole. I'll have 1 in my hand, and then typically 1 in my shuttle, or in my sled next to me. I'll have 2 of those rods. Again, 1 with a good bait that is my go-to stuff, and then I'll have an off-the-wall bigger jig with either a piece of plastic or something just much bigger. A lot of times people go smaller. I find that if you're going to try and get these bigger fish to eat, going bigger is the key. So usually 2 to 3 rods, pretty much at any given point in time, that are with me. And then if we're out and I've got all my gear out, pretty much during the day, I'd say there's probably 20 rods pretty close by any day we're out. How many of you guys have been out so far? And I guess, what have you guys been targeting, and how's the ice conditions? I should be asking you guys. Nobody? Everybody's just on the computer. Nobody wants to share. Quiet bunch tonight. So I came home from Kurt's the other night, and my kid had walking pneumonia last week, and I don't know if I got it from him or whatnot, some sort of stomach bug, but just violently throwing up for a couple days, and I actually popped a blood vessel in my eye, I think, from the dry heaves. I couldn't take it anymore, and it was crazy. Hey Jeff, yeah, I don't know what happened there. They told me that they wanted to freshen it up and have some new speakers, but my argument was it looks like it's all the same speakers as last year, so don't know, man. I will be there. You guys have questions, come and talk to me. I'll gladly sit and talk fishing, and we'll have your own personal seminar. I got out Saturday, crappies and gills. Dave said 4.5 inches. Pat, what's in the cup? Just a soda, bud. Just some Pepsi. Nothing crazy. Looking at going in the morning for the first time, Travis. Yep, Gill's community spots. John's waiting for a little bit more ice. So, just be careful. If you're going to go out tomorrow, like I say, the last couple days, the ice kind of took a little bit of a hit. Today it was below freezing all day, but it didn't really help anything. It wasn't cold enough to really make ice. Tim, yeah, there were a couple spots that spud bars would probably go through in one chop. Really, that sun and the wind and the warm weather, is an appetite for disaster with ice, especially when you only got 4 to 5, 6 inches at most in spots. Now, some spots are held up good. There were some spots out in Poygan that had 6, 7 inches. There were also a lot of spots that were skimmed over or an inch or two, and and then with this warm weather, some of those spots are opening back up again. So just give it a couple days here. We're gonna have below zero, and I think a high of like 8 or something like that on Thursday. But then we're also gonna have extreme winds, and anytime we get that cold wind, when it's this thin of ice, that stuff's going to build up pretty quick. Yeah, snowless ice on gin clear water. Not only is it hard for fishing, but it really makes your ass pucker when you're walking around too, because you can't tell, if this ice is, how thick it is, or if you're going to go down. I know I've got a couple lakes over here that we walk out on, over the top of some deep weeds and some rocks. And when you've only got 4 to 6 inches of ice to begin with, the water is gin clear. It looks like you're literally walking on water, and that's why it's important to carry your spud bar, so when you hit, you can actually see the cracks go, and you can kind of get a bearing on how thick the ice is, because otherwise you'd be freaking out, and get a lot of people that won't even walk on that kind of stuff because it is pretty spooky. Oh, Jeff, sorry to hear about you hurting yourself. Rest up, man. Heal yourself up, and I think we're going to have a good long season. I'm looking forward to fishing well into, hopefully April this year. Hopefully we get a good March, and I love that late ice perch fishing and walleyes on this system. It's so much fun. Well, I think we're going to leave it at that. I appreciate everybody kind of tuning back in. So next Wednesday, we'll do it Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock. And bring questions or send questions ahead of time. Send me a note if there's something that you want to talk about or see. And that way there I can prepare, get some tackle out, or, rods, line, whatever you guys want to talk about. I can get kind of that stuff ready. And looking forward to it. I appreciate you guys all tuning in again tonight, and please let me know again if there was any problems. This is a completely new platform that I'm using tonight. This is kind of the first trial run. A lot of crazy cool stuff I can do with this too, that will I can take different segments and make Facebook short videos, and I think we're going to be able to actually put this right into an audio podcast as well. That'll stream, on like Spotify and some of the other places. I got to get that up and going yet. So stick with me, bear with me. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next week on here, and we'll see you guys all hopefully at the ice show in Oshkosh this weekend. Please come up and say hi. I will most likely be in Critter's booth, and if not there, I will be in the Artisan booth, Eskimo Nyan. So looking forward to it, and thanks again, guys. Have a good evening. Stay safe and stay dry. We'll catch you guys later.